how to cope with real estate with Taunee and me. We'll leave that for the people who are watching on the Zoom call. I'm Bill Gross. This is Probate Weekly. Welcome. We do this every Thursday at 4 p.m. probateweekly.com. You can go on the watch us on live stream on YouTube and Facebook or LinkedIn, or you can sign up at probateweekly.com, come into the Zoom call and participate live, as well as ask questions, raise your hand. And you can also learn what we do behind the scenes that we're not willing to share all the time. On this call, and I'm not a coaching company. I'm not selling data. I'm a practitioner. I'm a real estate broker in Los Angeles. I also have a team of agents nationally. I'm looking to build my team. But I'm a practitioner. I'm here to build my business. And one thing that I need is to always learn and to network with other people. And so every week I try to interview usually attorneys, vendors, other agents in the business who can help me be a better real estate broker. And hopefully you're listening in and help you be better as well. You can ask questions and participate. And certainly today we have one of those. Now, her resume is so long, our Zoom call is only an hour. But this lady is all that and a bag of chips and a pickle on the side. She's first off, she's a veteran. Thanks for your service. She's the incoming president of the GLAAR, formerly BHGLAAR, the Association of Realtors I belong to, the Greater LA Area Association of Realtors. She's involved with creating the CAR, California Association of Realtor program for certification of real estate agents in the probate space. She's promoting that. You'll get invited to that. We'll learn more about that with Paul Horn, the attorney who does the certification. So you should put that together. She's involved with the Women's Council. That's a whole, I don't sneak in on that. Though, if you know my YouTube channel, you'll know I'd like to dance as a woman and sing lip sync songs as a woman, but I'm not in the Women's Council. On top of that, she's a UC Trojan. On top of that, she's a professional fiduciary. She's an accountant. She does all kinds of things. And she's a superstar in the real estate space specifically. Going to talk today and share with us about getting listings from trusts. Taunee English. Taunee, what is up?
Hey, thank you, Bill, for having me.
I'm exhausted, Taunee, after all that.
Well,
so,
as I say, I would love to have Bill come with me everywhere and be my cheerleader. Thank you so much for that. Yeah.
And if you follow Taunee on social media on Facebook, you can see her and her mother do the mother-daughter fashion show thing. And they really push the limit. Like they do some stuff. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, my mom, we do a lot of twinsy pictures, at least 4 or 5 times a year. You know, the woman, I'm gonna have to say she's a narcissist. And so I feed into that, So, her gift to me is buying us matching outfits and wigs. Okay, it's not just the outfits, it's the wigs and the shoes and the purse. So I do these twinsy, poses with my mother 4 or 5 times a year. So
it's a whole thing. It's not just a picture of 2 of them.
We do a photo shoot. We do a full-on photo shoot, everything.
And they work it. I mean, they work it. Yellow video there. Yep. They work it. So, Okay. So we have a lot of fun. You have a lot of fun along the way, but at the same time, you're also deadly serious about real estate.
Yeah, I do trust and probate, but we also specialize in, we call it life's 5 Ds, where we, help clients to deal with the 5 Ds of life, right? Divorce, death, disability, downsizing, and disasters. But most especially, we do deal with trust and probate. And one of the things that we'll be discussing next week on Paul's on the program with Paul next week through Greater LA also is that how to get listings with trust, how to get listings with probate. And one of the things that definitely worked in COVID time, especially when realtors were considered not necessary, essential business and they weren't supposed to go out and not door knock and all that. What we did was we taught a series on how to get listings with trust. And one of the things we said was, go look up your property profile, right? And see who your past clients don't have their properties in the trust, right? Because what one of my favorite estate planning attorneys always says is that, Rosie, she says that, probate is like filing a civil lawsuit against your family, and Paul, please I'm not Paul. I'm so have Paul in my brain right now. Bill, please tell them why probate is bad. Not for business, but why is it bad?
Well, yours is that's like a lawsuit against yourself. What I tell people is that if you pass without a trust or without an estate plan, you have to worry. The state has a plan for you. it looks like the DMV is just not as fun as going to the DMV.
Yeah, probate is expensive. And so what we did was we educate the realtors on how to be, step up and be more of a trusted real estate advisor. So when you help your buyer purchase a home, we say, get it, get into a trust. And especially the cool thing about not just saying that is that you can create relationships with estate planning attorneys. You refer them to 3. But what we also say is get yourself written into the trust, right? Because think about it. You work with this buyer for 3, 6 months or, for a long time. And you help them purchase that property, right? And so what we tell them is that who's the best person to sell this property if, God forbid, something happens to either one of you? Who's going to sell it at the highest, best, price? We know this property because we were here when you bought it. We know all the inspections and everything else.
Right.
So we also tell them how bad probate is, right? And so when we educate them about that, we get ourselves written into the trust. And by the way, they don't have to die to end up selling that property, right? They can be downsizing, upsizing, or if someone does die. But the cool thing about it is now you're creating yourself future accounts receivable. Okay, yeah, I'm an accountant, so I'm using that term, right? But think about it. We know there's a high percentage of sellers who do not use the original realtor that sold them that property. They're using the one that's constantly farming that area. So by getting yourself written into that trust, you have a higher chance of being the one who sells that property later on when it's time to sell.
And I know you go into the right way to do that in your program. I know I did it. I got written in one time the wrong way, which was they agreed to interview me because the decedent thought it was great. And it was really sad because the house was an architectural product from a famous architect who went to our alma mater, USC. And I happened to find a book about that architect that mentioned the house. Didn't have a picture of it, but it mentioned that house in the list. And I brought the book, and my presentation was I was going to go to the USC Architecture School and have a contest and have the winner give a presentation at a broker's open house at the property, which I knew the lady who passed, that was important to her. But to the kids, they didn't really care, and they were nabbing with some agent who promised them some price he couldn't deliver, and it was a mess. So sometimes it's not just getting the business; it's also helping the decedent get what they want. They want their legacy. They want things handled a certain way, and so your program goes into that. Let's talk a little bit about how do you get business from trust. Now, one way, and you just mentioned it, kind of passing, which is your refer business to attorneys, estate planning. I think a lot of real estate agents look like they want to start the machine by getting business referred to them, but it doesn't really work that way, does it?
No, especially with attorneys. I mean, attorneys, it takes a lot of time to build relationships with them. And I think more so, in my opinion, is I think they're more into not want to get sued and all that. So they tend to need to have you build up a trusted relationship with them. And that can take time. You can smooth them all you want, but really it is that they have to trust you, and so, and part of that trust is you start referring business to them, and you're doing a great thing because also too, you're helping your clients protect their greatest asset that you just help them buy.
Right.
So you want to go, and so, I say to people now, just go back into your database. This is a great time to touch your past clients and go check and see if they have their property in the trust.
Which is public record information. If you don't have it in your file, how they take title, name of husband or wife, or name of trust. You can go into, if you're a realtor at the, like I'm in the west side of LA, our Realist membership, you go in, put the property address, it'll show you the property profile and the tracking and such, or your title rep can give you a program you can look up as well. Right. But you should go through your database of closed files and know how they took title. And like Taunee saying, call them up and offer that. And so let's imagine I'm a customer who called you about estate planning. Now, I'm only going to call you, I imagine, that you're promoting it in your social media, right? That it's important, and give me a phone call. We'll have a conversation and refer you to somebody. How do you get the customer to talk to you in the first place about that topic?
Well, first off, it gets helpful if you go ahead and get that certification of being a probate trust specialist. Yeah. So I start the conversation with that, saying that I am a certified, probate and trust specialist. And I go through, but first after you say hi, how you doing, catch up, right? What's happening in their lives and everything. And I pretty much go through and I say, you know what? I was looking at your property profile and I noticed that you don't have your home in a trust. Are you familiar about, that California, I'm talking about California is a probate state. And let me tell you how probate goes. And then I tell them some nightmares, stories that happen, especially with siblings, and everything. I mean, and I just covered a little story about it. And I tell them how much probate costs because, a probate attorney on $1 million property, they're getting like $25,000. Whereas you go and get a trust done for $1,500, So I explained that process. Then I explained about how, it's public knowledge and how probate with the trust is private. With probate, that is public. And the lenders and the credit collectors, they all get a piece before your heirs do. And everybody knows your business. Whereas trust, it's nice and private. In trust, it can be sold, 30 days or 60 days, right? And you can get the money right away. Probate, it could be 9 months, 12 months, or later on before you see that money. So I explained that part of it. But
if you're lucky.
Well, yeah, I mean, I have a good relationship with my clients. They do see me as a trusted real estate advisor. So, they let me yap for a while, And
no, I'm saying you're lucky you get your money in 9 months or 12 months. Sometimes it's a year. If it's litigated, it could be years before you see your money, right?
Exactly. Right. And that's one of the nightmare stories. I even bring up, stuff that happened with the famous people that's happening argument right now with Aretha Franklin, in those cases. So I do bring up those nightmares too. But I do bring normal stuff in, like, two siblings arguing about a 25-unit building and how, probate really can cause, some really family issues, and just be responsible and just spend the money and get a will, get a living will. And I talk about all that stuff and everything, but I don't go too much to the legal because I'm not an attorney, but I do say that. And then when I happen to have them on the phone, I ask them about their parents' address, because most likely the parents going to die before they do. Right. And I explain to them, let's avoid your siblings and you get into an argument, to have issues if your parents don't have their stuff in the trust. So I get their parents' address too. It's kind of cool if they happen to live in California. And I look at them like, oh, they don't have a trust. So yeah, maybe, we can do a conference call or have you talk to my estate planning attorney, who I think would be perfect, to talk to your parents and talk to you. Let's get that in the trust to avoid all this, headaches later on in the road.
Now, one of the things you said, I think in passing, I know enough about you that you have a pretty wide Rolodex. Tell me about, how do you find the right attorney for that customer? Because you don't send all the business to the same person. You mentioned you have a couple, but how do you find, when you say the right one, how do you make that assessment?
Well, I have 3 that I like, right? But what I tend to do is I would always go the lowest, middle, and high price points. Yeah. Just like you do with contractors when you refer contractors out. So that's what I tend to do.
Right.
I agree. Then also I kind of match them up where they're located too. So if they're located in different areas in the California, I match them up with someone closer by too. But I do try to do 3, but then, I do have some favorites and I tell them why, and everything. But I said, but here are 2 others.
Well, and I think some people really prefer to meet in person, and you want to send them to those and there's some attorneys who really like to do it in person. And there are other ones that just soon do it online. And there are attorneys who just soon do it all online. And so you have to make sure you match that up.
Right.
Let's just a quick pause for anybody who's on the call live. We'd love to have you participate. So 2 things you can do. Number 1, network. I see one of our favorite attorneys, Jack Lapidus, has already started. Feel free to put in what you do, how you do it, how people can contact you, what you're looking for in the chat if you're on the Zoom call. And if you have questions, feel free to put a question. And if you can put a Q before it, makes it easier for me to find. But love to have you. And if you're watching on the live stream, we've got a bunch of people on YouTube and Facebook. I'm watching those comments as well. So feel free, if you're on YouTube or Facebook now, live, to put your questions there or comments. I'll catch those. Or if you're watching the recording, I'll catch them afterwards and respond to them as appropriate as well. So, Taunee, you work with trusts, you work with probates, but you also work with associations of real estate agents. And we have a bunch of real estate agents on the call. Obviously, this is a transitional period. I'll say for my business, I'm having a better year than last year, but I've been working hard consistently. But I know a lot of agents are really struggling. What do you see consistently between those agents who are struggling and those agents who are doing well in this market right now?
Well, as we've seen in any downshift market, guess who ends up surviving? The ones that start going back and educating themselves and investing in themselves. because now you have to really start focusing on what are you good at? Focus on, and focus on a specific niche. I'm not saying that you are stuck to that niche, but become an authority and expert in that one niche so that you're top of mind.
Right.
I get referrals from out of state, and because they know me as the probate woman, they call me, because I have a joke that I work with dead people. I know. I have a sick sense of humor, right? But
whoa, you work with me. What does that make me?
Right. I said 50% of my clients are dead people, right? But the rest of them are alive and kicking. So you want to get known for that. I'm known for trust and probate, but but I do like to say I work with life's 5Ds, because I learned that I was getting a lot of referrals from accountants and financial advisors because of complex issues. And since I ran a CPA firm and I ran a business management firm, I'm used to dealing with people's assets and everything. And so I'll get those referrals because they knew that I can, wrap up those businesses like that. And I know how to work with, conflict. And that's what you have a lot of times when people are going through divorce, downsizing, probate or trust, and disasters, which, COVID was considered as disaster. So that's why we have another program called How to Get Listings with DSTs and Structure Installments, which is part of our Unleash More series coming up next month.
So we had you as a guest on my other podcast. You went that into detail, but just a quick overview there is you're kind of using the same thing. You're using the legal framework of a tool to help somebody get what they want, which in that case commonly is move out of one property they don't want to be in into other properties they might want to be in.
Well, no, not with the DSTs. With the DSTs, Delaware Statutory Trust, right? With those, what you have to have a net worth of $1 million above, just to give you that disclaimer there, but which is easy in California, right? But what that product is really great for, in my opinion, and also good for going after listings too, it's great for those mom and pops landlords who had tenants who didn't pay, right? And now, the bank's going to soon, come after them to start, making payments on those. If they didn't pay their mortgage because their tenants didn't pay rent, the bank's going to after them, right? And they're going to be forced to have to sell their property. And the problem is that if they did not pay mortgage payments, they're going to have a hard time trying to exchange that property to another one. When you do a 1031 exchange, if you sell a property for $1 million, you have to buy another property for $1 million or more, right? But let's say you had like a $500,000 mortgage on it, but you didn't make payments. So it'd be hard for you to try to do an exchange because you're not going to be able to qualify for a mortgage. Well, with DSTs, you're able to, I'm just bottom line it, there's more things to it, but you're able to just take the net proceeds, the 500,000 in this scenario, and roll it into a DST. And a Delaware Statutory Trust is that you're buying shares into a trust, and a trust can have one property or multiple properties. Like one of my clients, they got frustrated with their tenants playing games during COVID, not paying rent, right? So they had this one house that was 800 that their rent was, we sold it for 800,000, right? We took the proceeds, and we rolled into one DST that had the tenant was Amazon, the biggest distribution center in Arizona. So we rolled some money into that. And then we rolled some money into another DST that just had a 164 unit, I think. Yeah, 164 unit apartment building in Tennessee. And then another DST that had apartment building in Florida. So now they're able to diversify their portfolio instead of just having one rental. Now it's spread out in all three different places. And they're earning like around 4% on their money. And they found out they're earning more than they had with the tenant because they have to worry about fixing, plumbing issues, repairs, insurance, property taxes. And they no longer have the headache, but they still get the deferred capital gains. They still get the Schedule E, income and deductions and all that without being the headache of being a property management. So it is the best of both worlds. And that particular client was one of my clients that had issues with her sister when her mother died, and her sister, and they both inherit a 25 unit building in Brentwood, right? And she knew what a pain it is when you leave properties to your kids, and it could cause issues and arguments, right? So she was happy that now they're able to leave shares to their kids versus have to have them unload a property. So that's another cool thing about DSTs.
So two things on that. We don't want to go in any deeper here on DSTs. That's not quite our topic. Just the idea they're related, I think, is an important part. I put in the chat box, I interviewed a good friend of yours that we managed to meet, Lyndon. I put a link in there. If you're on the YouTube, I interviewed him and he'll go into detail, but he'll be a guest of yours on a program. You actually have a series coming up I want to share with everybody because I think it's great content. And I just think you really do a great job. On the 29th, which is a week from yesterday, you're going to do Unleashed Listings with Trust and Probate. And that's where you're having guest Paul Horn, who's the most prolific probate attorney in Los Angeles County, and is the official instructor for the CAR probate certification course. And so there's a way you can do that. As a result, you'll get a discount and such if you want to do that. And then on the 13th, Power of ADUs, how to turn your first-time home buyers into investors, some fascinating details there. And then we were just talking about on the 18th, you're going to do DST and structured installments. And those are ways to kind of alternatives to 401ks, or I'm sorry, to 1031s or similar to 1031s. So if you're interested, I don't know if you have a link. I have an Eventbrite link. I'll put in the chat box. If you want to sign up for those or get more information, hit that. And then we'll make sure, Jesse, if you're listening, if you could put the link to the Eventbrite in our show notes, that would be great as well. So, thanks. There's Jesse, the voice of magic there. So I know you're looking to create a series. And I think this is what's exciting for me is you have such a deep Rolodex and bank account of goodwill with realtors throughout the United States. And you've met such great contacts through that now you're sharing that with other agents and investors and wholesalers. So I'm really excited to participate. I signed up for the 29th with Paul Horn myself, because whenever Paul Horn talks, I want to listen. And the other ones I'm not sure about, but the DST one, I actually interviewed him. I probably will jump into that one because you have another guest along with Lyndon, is his colleague.
Good old Charles, one of the companies that sell DSTs, one of the top companies in the United States, that that's their product. Yeah. I like Inland. They're a great company.
So I know Dave, you have a couple of questions there. You might want to go a little deeper there with Taunee offline or come to her program and she'll give those details. So fantastic. Okay. So again, if you're online, love to have your questions. If you're on live on YouTube or Facebook right now, love to get your questions. We've got a bunch of people on YouTube. Wow, that's so exciting. So feel free though, you're not separate from us. You're part of the same call. Feel free to ask questions, put in the chat box. And then if you're on the Zoom, feel free to put your networking information in the box. A number of people have. Shout out to Kevin Sales, title rep. I know you know Taunee as well.
I was going to say that. I saw Mr. Kevin. Yep. He's one of the best probate and trust title reps.
I haven't seen him for a while, quite frankly, but glad to have him around. He's always a great asset for people in the top business. And I know in the past he's done some coaching and training, but I believe there's some issues with all that. And in the meantime, definitely call him up, buy him a cup of coffee, and pick his brain on how to help your business in probate and title. Okay, good. So let's talk about a little bit about your CPA, because I know I'm sure we have other people also who have a little bit of experience in the financial world and or as accountant. How do you use your skills as an accountant to support your clients as a real estate agent?
Okay, well, you have to be careful because I'm no longer practicing, right? So I'm not up on all the tax, things like that. So I really I always do a disclaimer about that, right? Even though I have the background and all that, what I do, I know what I do say is, let's do a conference call with your accountant. Let's do a conference call with your financial advisor, because I know what questions to ask them, everything. So, because I want to, as realtors, we have to stay in our lane. We not, assess through all of our contracts. We can't provide legal advice or any tax advice, right? Right. So I do, when I have these conversations about them selling, or, and this helps you, by the way, get referrals from their accountants, by the way, right? When you say that, we want to involve you in decision-making, because when I ran a CPA firm, what used to piss me off was our clients would go and sell their properties, and then they have a nerve to get pissed off at us when they realize they have to pay all these capital gains, or they have to recapture all the depreciation, et cetera, right? Because they didn't call us first. Well, we could have told them, dude, why you need to do a 1031 exchange, and everything. So the accountants, the financial advisors, the attorneys, they love it when you advise their clients to call them, to involve them in the decision-making. And then that helps you build a relationship with their trusted advisors. Right. Okay?
When I always tell real estate agents, they say, well, what can I do? What can I do? I would say, I can't give you legal advice. What I can do is I can share my experience. I can share my customer's experience, and I can list for you all the problems that you need to talk to a professional to help you avoid. I can't give you legal advice, but I can share with you, if you don't have the right legal advice, Here's what life might look like, and we want you to avoid that, right? Here's what a customer of mine did do. Here's what I saw in court one day for somebody who wasn't prepared. That's why you should talk to an attorney and get advice as to what to do. It's not my position to give them that advice.
But it's great if you make sure you get in on that conference call.
Yeah.
You don't want, because what you don't want to happen is that darn accountant or lawyer to refer them to someone else.
That happens.
Because that can happen.
That
or
happens.
give them advice that they don't know anything about. Like one
Right.
accountant, he didn't know what a DST was.
Right.
And he was, giving just bad advice. And I had to, so I was like, no, just let me get on the phone with him.
So one question we got to ask, I should have caught this the first time, is what is a DST? And I think you said it, but it stands for Delaware Statutory Trust. So it's a format of a financial tool to help you take profits from selling one property and put it into another property. And the scenario that
you roll into trust, you're buying shares. So now
I'm sorry, shares of trust. I'm sorry,
Right.
Of course. 1031 is to another property. Unlike a 1031, the DST is into maybe like a portfolio of properties as like a REIT or like a stock mutual fund, but it's a specific type of trust of properties that qualifies for that. Now, you want to go into detail on that. Like I said, there's a link to the interview I did, or sign up for Taunee program, and they're going to go into it in detail. But that's what it stands for, Delaware Statutory Trust.
And they're also good for saving a 1031 exchange, right? They're really good for that too, because what it does is, like, let's say, you only have a certain amount of time, right, to find a replacement property, and and that could fall out of escrow. Well, DST can save that 1031 deal. So they're also very good for backups too.
Nice. So you identify a property, and then if that doesn't work out, you can use that as a backup.
As a backup, I think.
Wow.
I think a lot of realtors, they want to double in both deals. Sell the property and buy another property, right? But you have some people who discuss it, especially here in California, of being a landlord. Okay, so this is a way where you can help them. Instead of trying to sell them another property and everything, especially with interest rates being so high and everything. This is a way where you can say, hey, get out the market now. Because with DST, you pretty much have to stay in for like 5 years or so, right? So you can say, just roll into a DST. They can always come back into, owning a, regular real property again as a landlord, right? So that's another thing realtors have to expand, is that don't try to, double in stuff, help people who may just need a break from being a darn landlord.
Right. I mean, it's been very volatile times, a lot of changes. And I think also what happens, I find, is that, mom and dad had a property for years. It's now worn down. It's now getting below market rents because it needs to be rehabilitated. Mom and dad don't want to take it on. They pass. And now you have a child, and their job is, are you going to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars and rehab a property you never managed?
Right.
Maybe not. Take the profits, put it into a DST, and then come back and buy something that's ready to go when you're ready to do something like that. So it gives you some flexibility.
Yep. And also too, is great for the parents, because in that way, their kids can make a decision on if they want to keep doing DSTs or take their money and invest in properties or what have you, instead of have to, unload this property on them, especially in the out state.
Great. I see a bunch of you putting in your contact information, which is great. The networking going on in the chat is fantastic. Carlos Sanchez, you say Central Florida. Is that Orlando? Is that south of Orlando? Give me a little more detail of what Central Florida is. I might have something to talk to you about in Florida, FYI. So love to catch up with you.
Basically, when I say Central Florida, I've sold houses from Davenport to Deltona. So pretty much like the Lakeland area all the way to the Daytona Beach area.
Oh, across the whole state, Central. Okay, got it.
Not all the way to Tampa, basically about an hour and a half radius around Orlando.
Got it. Very nice.
Are you a women's councilwoman? Are you part of women's council?
No, I'm not. I have seen it.
Oh, okay, because I know Carla Sanchez in Florida as a women's council leader. That's why I asked.
No, thank you.
Thanks, Carl. Thanks. I got your information. I'll reach out to you. I got something to talk to you about. Okay, good. So again, any questions, feel free to jump in, whether you're on the chat or on the live stream. Love to have you there. Let's talk about your service. One of the things that as a real estate agent, I've been involved in service within my franchise with my company. I never really did anything with membership other than appreciate being a member of the Association of Realtors. And I've told you that many times. I'm proud. It's a great deal. I couldn't be happier. Thank you for running all that. I'm not interested in getting involved with that. But you've not just been involved, you've been up to your eyebrows in Association of Realtors, Women's Council. Separately from that, I don't think people necessarily know that separate from that, MLS, you've been involved with programming there and such. Tell me about your thinking as to how you got involved in service, and then how does that complement or help you build your business?
That's funny you asked. I just put on a 2.5-hour program about that, how you can succeed by volunteering, right? And what has happened with me and also the ladies I had on this program in a few hours ago is that the stuff you learn, the skill set you learn in volunteering really can help you grow your business. And also it becomes a great referral networking.
Yeah.
Opportunity too. I get referrals from Women's Council members. I get referrals from members in the California Association of Realtors by serving as a board director. You know, they locate in Northern California and Southern California, and I'm right here in the middle. I get referrals because of that, because you build relationships, because you've been serving on the same committees with them, on the boards with them. It helps you build relationships and they trust you because they're referring someone out of area to someone, and they don't just want to go through their Rolodex of who's part of the same company as theirs. You know, because I get referrals from people outside EXP, because I'm with EXP with like Bill Rose, and I'm getting referrals from Coldwell Bankers, from Keller Williams, from all over the place because of my relationship I have with them, serving as a board director, as you know, serving at NER or serving at Women's Council or serving at a local association.
And not to hit a sore spot.
So it can pay, by the way, even though you're taking time away, it can pay dividends. I tell people volunteer with a purpose. Okay, if you're going to serve on a committee that you have, like, for instance, commercial, right? If you're a realtor who wants to get into commercial, right? Serve on the commercial committee, because you start building relationships with those, you know, fellow commercial brokers, especially when you're brand new, you know, because then you can bring them on a deal that, because you're doing your first commercial deal, you know which commercial brokers you can work with to bring them on to help you with that first deal. And you can learn so much information. And also too, I know people like titles, by the way, so you could distinguish yourself when you're at a listing presentation competing against another person at a listing presentation. You know, you could pretty much stand out saying, hey, I'm a state director with the California Association of Realtors, and we have our pulse on what's happening because we are there. We find out about the bills that's coming up that's going against, you know, real estate, you know, real property rights and things like that. We say that we are part of the lobbying, you know, to try to stop rent control, try to get rid of COVID, get rid of this and that. So it becomes a good icebreaker because, you know, most people think, or consumers think, that realtors all are just about the commission. But when you say, no, I'm a private property advocate, you know, I'm serving the community, you know, we are really lobbying, we fight for you, it stands out.
Not to make it a sore spot, but you put a lot into your service, I'm sure, before you get out of it. I mean, I see you all the time posting, recognizing people, going to events. You really invest a lot into it. How much of it is your passion to be a service, and is that your focus? Are you doing it to get referrals? How do you decide the time to be put into it?
No, it's not it's not about getting referrals. You definitely can't, you know, you can't, when you want to do something good, it's definitely not about, I would say that's a good thing about doing it, is getting referrals and stuff like that. But that's not why I do it. I sincerely have a passion about our real estate industry.
You have to. You have to. You do what you do. You have to. I mean, it's obvious.
Yeah, I truly believe in education. Okay, I believe the more educated a realtor is, the more they're able to serve the community. So I have so many darn designations, not a joke, right? But I truly, truly, really want realtors to be so educated so that they can be a trusted advisor, so that because we have the consumers, when they think of us, they think that we really are a trusted real estate advisor, not just commission hungry people. So I'm really passionate about protecting our image as realtors.
You really are. And I think that's the primary focus. And as a result of that, you get the business. I think that's the thing that real estate agents mess up. You know, I started this podcast 3 years ago when COVID hit. I used to go to court every day, and I started this. I didn't have much else to do every day. To be honest, when I started, I didn't plan on this being such a big hit as far as attendance. It's the largest podcast on real estate, probate real estate live in the country. I didn't plan on that. I just, you know, knew people needed it, and I wanted to help. And it's been great for business. But people say, well, why are you doing this? Are you charging people? Are you selling coaching? No, I'm not charging. No, I'm not selling coaching. I do have a product, but that's a different story behind that.
Right.
Now I do want to sell houses. If you have a probate property in Los Angeles, California, or anywhere in California, I'd love to help you with that. Call me. Let me, you know, I'm always glad to work selling houses, but this program is about me. And to be honest with you, I learn on this call. Like I don't know that if I called you up, I could say, hey, can I book an hour with you just to learn? But if I do it in the podcast and I have 50 people watching, people want to talk about things. And it worked out for me as a way to learn about the business and how to network and how to grow. And I really enjoy it. And I'd like to think that comes across.
Yeah.
My challenge to everybody else on the call is find out what you like to do that helps people and do that. Maybe it's serving in the Board of Realtors. Maybe it's serving CAR. Maybe it's serving Women's Council. Maybe it's serving minorities. Maybe it's serving your organization, whatever it is. Do that and do that with joy, and people will appreciate you and do business with you, I think, as a result.
Yeah.
Yeah, and your education list was way too long. I left off a Realtor of the Year in our local Board of Realtors. So that was one of the things I left off. Going back a bit, questions on YouTube. Eliu Nina says, can you do DSTs in Florida? I think the answer is yes.
Yes. I mean, DSTs is more popular, of course, in the high tax states, because that's the ones who tend to care more about the capital. They want to avoid capital gains and everything. Because, actually, as I said, my one client, purchased I forgot 124 something units in Florida with a DST. Right. And don't forget, now the DSTs just have one property. There's some portfolios that have a bunch of smart and finals in them. A bunch of, just almost like REITs. They can have a portfolio as big as REITs too, by the way. So it depends on how you want to be. That particular client was a mom and pop landlord. So he wanted to be able to identify what he owned and everything, he and his wife. So they love saying, hey, we have this property in Arizona and our tenant is Amazon, so they felt more comfortable with being invested in DSTs that just have one property per versus, getting a DST that might have a portfolio of 20 or 30, net commercial leases.
So, and be specific for Elio's question, he's a real estate agent in Davie, where my best friend moved, actually. The answer is it can work either way, meaning Ellie can sell somebody's property in Florida with a large capital gain exposure, and they can invest in DSTs around the country or in Florida.
Right.
Californians who have property here and want to avoid the tenant situation can sell their property here and take those profits into a DST that's focused in Florida or other states or all the states or whatever they want to do. So it really does work both ways. It's more popular in California because if you think about that family selling a property, you sell a $4 million property, you might have a $3 million profit. In U.S. federal law, capital gains 20%, maybe it gets raised 28%. California, though, we have 13%, and it's rising. Every time I turn around, the taxes around here going up. There's a 1% LA County, there's a this, there's a that. By selling it, you don't avoid the transaction cost, but you can defer the
capital gains.
Profits, capital gains, or the ordinary income, you can defer that.
And ordinary income, because you have to capture all that below depreciation.
Right.
So people forget about that part.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. As accountant, that's a good one because you depreciate, you've enjoyed depreciation short term, but you sell the property, all that depreciation becomes due, that becomes taxable as well. So, Elio, I'd say the next step, if you're interested in more on the DST, is sign up for her program, and she'll go into details and she'll connect you with Lyndon and the team there if that's something that you want to get involved with. Here's an easy question to ask. I don't know if Jack answered it. Can we recommend a great real estate attorney covering Southern California? This is from Cece. I would say this. On our call is Jack Lapidus. He is a real estate attorney. He's a real licensed. He's in real life. Behind him is a card. The one behind him is a cardboard cutout. The one in front is the real him that's moving. And in between going to UCLA basketball games and UCLA baseball games, you might catch him as a legal professional. But I actually interviewed Jack a few weeks ago. He was kind enough to share with us. I think people often will say, I need a real estate attorney, not knowing it's not really a real estate attorney you need. Right. It's something else. I think the thing, while Jack, certainly you should reach out to Jack and start the conversation. For the rest of you on the call, I want to say, oftentimes people say to me, do I know an attorney? Yeah, I know a lot of attorneys, but let's get the right one so they don't waste their time. Let's break down what you're looking for. What does it look like specifically, the problem? And oftentimes you'll find, and what I like about Jack personally is I've sent him leads that weren't for him, but he referred them to the right other attorney, whether it be a petition action or a probate litigation or something else. So it's important. Cece, thanks for asking, but let's make sure we get the right attorney. And always, the more specifics you can share, the better, or reach out, and feel free to reach out to me if I can help with anybody on the call. How about you, Taunee?
Bill, Jack had his hand up.
Oh, I didn't see that. There you go, Jack. Let's see, one second. Jack Lapidus, a real life attorney. What's going on, Jack?
Yeah, so I was just going to say that the best way to reach out to me, I mean, I put my contact information in there. The best way to reach out to me is email me with a little summary of what you think your issue is, and then we can move forward from there. Just for information, just sending me a text or messaging me here is okay, but the best way really is send me an email.
Great. And he's in the chat. If you didn't catch that, I'll repost that. And I think Jack qualifies as the official attorney, the official real estate attorney of Probate Weekly. He's been on regularly. He's a great guy, goes to our real estate network event in the Valley, and definitely, yeah, but the Go Bruins part, please don't do that. I'm going to have you removed from the call.
Notice the shirt I'm wearing today?
Yeah, I did. I didn't want to say anything about it because I don't offend the Bruin people. They told me when I went to USC Business School, they said, don't ever make fun of UCLA students. Someday they'll be working for you. So I try not to make fun of them if you wear powder blue or whatever. But yeah, and Miss Martinez, I'm sorry. If you, again, anything to do with Bruins or UCLA, we have to have Zoom remove you or something. Okay.
But Bill,
yes.
Bill, Zot.
What?
I went to UCI.
Oh, that's right. The anteaters.
Okay.
Yeah, you only what's your connection to UCLA? Your wife went to UCLA?
My father-in-law, my sister, and my nephew all went to UCLA, and I've been going to UCLA football games with my father-in-law for over 30 years.
If you really, it just strains the relationship. When you want to be friends with Jack Lapidus, you're stuck watching him at a UCLA women's basketball game, then a baseball game, then a football. It's like enough already. I like you, Jack, but really, it's just wearing me out.
But Bill, I grew up a Cal Bear fan because my brother and my dad went there, and I grew up in the Bay Area. So I've been hating USC my whole life.
Yeah, bad choice there, Jack. But we overlooked that. We're glad to have you on the call. Thanks for your advice. Maybe he's not such a good attorney. His judgment's that bad. Maybe there you go. Okay, and Dr. Sharon Barnes checks in, ADU specialist in the Inland Empire. Thank you for jumping in there. And you might want to check out Tawnee's program on ADUs. Okay, so next question, because Taunee, you're more than just a probate. For those of us on the call, we're affected by the market. Even though I have to say my business has been great, people are still dying, and those people who are dying still need to sell a house. But we are somewhat also affected by the greater market. What do you see as far as rates going up and down, banking situations, just kind of the overall tension? I mean, I've been in this business a long time. I don't remember it being so tense for so long between COVID and now that's done. But now we have this banking thing, and who knows what do you see going on? And then how do you adjust for that as a professional in the business?
Well, I say I don't have a crystal ball, but like you, I'm one of those people who always tend to do good when the market is bad. When it was short sale market, I was like the short sale queen. So right. I think it's more of shifting with the market, right. And find out who needs your help,
right.
And everything. So I don't try to predict if interest rates going to go up or down or anything like that, because we don't know really. We know what they're saying, what's trending. And I know you, Mr. Statistic guy over there, everything. But no, in this type of market right now, I just think people need to double down and really, have to go after clients now. You have to discover the clients. That's why we call it unleash listing. You have to do some work now and really find the people who needs to sell. And one of those ways too, by the way, is the same call we're going to have with Lyndon is the structured installments product we're going to talk about, because that's for people who, you have empty nesters sitting on these huge, sitting in these huge homes and they don't want to sell. Why? Because of capital gains. So we'll be covering that in the same conversation on April 18th when we talk about DSTs. So I think this right now is the time for realtors. You don't have to get out and work. You have to call your past clients, and start finding different ways to service them.
Well, or I think also there are people sitting in houses and they're getting rent, and the rent income might be a very low rate of return, but at least it's like the evil they know. They know they're getting the check and they're getting every month. The house might be worth $3 million and only getting $3,000 a month in rent, where they can convert that and get a better rate of return in other products.
Exactly.
That also diversify the portfolio, like you say. So there's all kinds of options.
Yeah.
I will say for the record, I do have a crystal ball. It's right there if you look at it. I ask all the time where the rate's headed. It doesn't tell me, but I do have a crystal ball. I got it. It must be real. I bought it on Amazon. So
yeah, no, I do. I think people, you do. You have to just yeah, reach out to those people that are paying, that have these properties they own, but they're, they got below market rents, and they're dealing with all the headaches, especially with the deferred maintenance and all that. So yes, offering them a new way, a new higher quality of life by doing DSTs, or they want to move to Florida, but they sitting on this house in Culver City that's worth all this money. Offer them, the structured installment product. Not you personally. You're going to, of course, have them refer them to a financial advisor, but give them that type of education, give them those choices. And as
Right.
realtors, that's part of us being educated. So we know what solutions we can provide them. ADUs, when we're going to talk about the power of ADUs, right? There's this one cool scenario that I love. Well, not scenario, it's a true deal that happened. Was this one, a retiree in San Francisco. She had a Victorian home sitting on a huge lot. And she had 3 other little senior friends, right? And they were, they were retired living by themselves. So she went and built 3 ADUs on her property, all Victorian style cottages. Her friends sold those 3 homes and moved in. So that realtor who educated her about ADUs, was able to get 3 listings. Okay, and double in on a couple of those because he educated his client on the power of ADUs.
Rather than renting the ADU, they sold the ADU and took the cash. Wow.
Well, she built 3 ADUs on her property,
Right.
right? And then sold them, and she split off and she parceled out and split them up to her 3 friends.
And we could
And
keep
they
her
built it-
house.
and
but
they
sold
built this
ADUs.
huge, and they built this cute little compound, you see, where they felt nice and secure.
I love it.
And
I love
also
it.
with the power ADUs, you can help, intergenerational wealth, help people build intergenerational wealth where they can build a few ADUs on a nice piece of land for the whole, for families to move in and create their own little estate compound.
Well, I also know in watching you over the years, one thing, like you say, you get to work and you're always looking for new tools to bring to your clients, and then you hustle them to your clients and work them. And if that works, great. If not, you find another one. And you find a couple programs here that really work for you. The trusts work for you, the ADUs, and then the structured settlements and DST is a really good fit with everything you're doing. So really inspiring me. For those of you on the call today, just a couple ways you can reach out to Taunee if you want to continue the conversation with her. Love to have you do that. She's on LinkedIn. LinkedIn.com/Ask Taunee is one way to get to her. And then she has a series on Eventbrite, Unleash More Master Series about unleashing listings. And the 29th, she has a great program with attorney Paul Horn on unleashing listings with trust and probate. The 13th, she's going to talk more about the ADUs we talked about today. And then on the 18th, she's going to go into DSTs and structured settlements. So again, that is in the chat box. I'll put it in there another time just to make it easy for you guys to find her. But love to have you continue the conversation with her personally and or come to her programs and support. And then for those of you who want to reach out to me and continue the conversation with me, which I'd love to do, I have a Facebook group, Probate Experts. Love to have you continue the conversation there. We live stream the call there, but also put other content. So love to have questions. I did a piece on market research tool called Altos Research. That's on the website or on the Facebook group. So Facebook group, and it's called Probate Experts. Love to have you join us there. And then I have a special product called Get Probate Cash. It's a way to use a tool of advances for people who are facing probate but don't have the money to maybe hire an attorney or fix up the property. It's a great tool on Facebook. If you go to Get Probate Cash, you'll find there a link to sign up for the program. And we're building out this group as well as a place we can have conversations on that as we continue. And then lastly, Probate Weekly. We do this every week, Thursdays, 4 p.m. Pacific. And if you want to see the past episodes, go to episodes.probateweekly.com and you'll catch us there. Okay, Mr. Martinez, apologize for saying anything positive about UCLA, and you're forgiven, Mr. Martinez. We're waiting for Jack Lapidus to apologize. I don't know. We're going to, or maybe I should send him like a cardinal colored shirt just to get him out of the powder blue. I don't know. Okay, last words. Taunee, there's an agent or two on this call or investor or two on this call who's struggling. They want to get started. They've been going to classes. They've been, it's harder than they imagined to get to this point. Maybe they're thinking of quitting. Maybe they don't see the light at the end of the rainbow. What would you say to encourage them to go from where they are to being a professionalist business and building wealth? What do they need to do to kind of bust through that initial stage?
Well, I always say, go for the low-hanging fruit, right? Go where people trust you. So if you come from a different profession, like I came from accounting and stuff. So when I first got into business, I went back to my old clients and said, guess what? I started a new chapter. I'm now selling real estate, and they already trusted me with that. And I told them I had a team of people work with me. So that gave assurance that I'm, lack experience, saying, because I had mentors with me and everything. So I think when you want to grow your business, you got to go with the audience that trust you, or audience that you really understand their needs, so you can talk to them about that. So that's what first time I did. I just went back to all my accounting clients, and a lot of my management clients were in production, who make quite a bit of money. So my thing was, you guys need to buy property.
That's such good advice. Every day I talk to agents, and they always want me to say, well, I want to, start my business. I want to buy all these leads from this company. I'm going to mail out to people. I'm going to cold call, and I say, there's nothing wrong with that, but that's a 6-month project. You already have people who know, like, and trust you. Why do you want to get people or strangers to know, like, and trust you and then do business with you? Why not talk to those who know, like, and trust you and see who needs to do business?
Right.
And they're just not calling you because they don't think about you. They're preoccupied. Somebody else approaches them. And I've seen you do that. And I think you having trust with these attorneys, in your case as an accountant or as through your other services, gives you such an advantage. We all have that advantage. We just need to make sure we use it.
Yeah, because I tell people also to, especially if they're struggling, become a referral-only agent. I mean, I have a division of my company that does that, right?
Right.
Right. So you can, if you need time, you can't pay your dues and all that right now. I think being a refer-only agent, right, which means you don't sell real estate anymore. I think for agents, agents who don't like selling, who found out that they're not really good at selling. But guess what? It's so much easier to promote other people than it is yourself. So that is another option for people that are, want to get out of real estate, but they invested so much time and energy and education.
Right.
Become a refer-only agent, and you able to refer people that who are good realtors, right? And it's easy to then go back to your database of friends, who didn't really see you as a realtor because they may saw you as your past career.
Right.
And now you can say, hey, I know this awesome realtor that is, they're perfect at this, or the expert in this and that, and then get your 25, 30, 30% referral fee from that just by, promoting someone else. So that's another thing too. For people.
I'm sorry I didn't ask earlier about that, because I know you do that, and I get people call me and say, I just want to hang my license. And you really can't hang your license with most companies like eXp Realty. We have fees, but we're just not designed for that. We're designed for somebody who does business and makes money at what we do. But there are people who legitimately don't know if they'll ever sell a house. They don't want to join the MLS. They don't want to join the Association of Realtors. But if they get a referral, somebody in their family or whoever, they want to get paid, and rightfully so. They deserve to be involved in the process. And so referral only is great. So if you're an agent considering that, maybe you're not making it and rather get out of the business, at least keep your license active and talk to Taunee about the referral only program. So
yeah, and I put in the chat box, our website. We're called a client-to-agent-matches.com, because we're pretty much saying we're matching a client to an agent that will provide them the great service. And it's
nice.
It's really, especially for those who just, okay, I need to take a step back and, not pay all these dues, MLS and all that stuff, and go back to another job or what have you. This is a good side gig to have,
Yeah.
and stuff. Especially, I tell people, especially if they're barbers or nurses and all that stuff, hey, get your real estate license, become a referral agent, because you're always talking to people, and now you can make money referring out to other people.
Good point. Taunee, you are a never-ending fountain of opportunity and education. Thank you for all your service to our community, to the realtor community, to the we even talk about our plans as far as promoting living trusts in our greater community and trying to help people keep wealth within their families. That's a whole nother program we'll talk about maybe some other time.
Yep.
You got so much going on. I don't know, my head's spinning from all the stuff that you got going on. I'm exhausted when I call you. I just follow you on social media. I can't even keep up with all that. Thank you so much for joining us today. Again, if you want to get in touch with Taunee, LinkedIn, Ask Taunee, or is there a good email address or phone number? How should people reach you? Or website?
I'm gonna put it in the chat right now, my info. So let me do that.
Oh, there you go. Client-to-agent-matches.com is the referral only program.
That's the refer only website, right?
Got it.
But then I just put my info. Oh, sorry, I put Women's Council because I was just on a Women's Council event call.
She has something going nonstop. It's just really amazing. The other thing is, if I was starting out in life in my business, particularly as a woman, I call Taunee and beg her to go out to coffee or lunch just to watch her. And she'll say, no, I'm too busy. Come by my office. But just to watch her work, she is just like a whirlwind. She has so much going on. So Taunee, thanks for your time today. I really appreciate it. Always great chatting with you. And thank you again for all your service. It was.
I love this. Is fun. Thank you, Bill, for having me because I enjoy this.
This is what I do for work. This is my job.
Well,
it's amazing. Thanks.
I appreciate you. And I'm going to tell you one good thing about Bill. He always sends me, it's like weird. I'm going through something in my life. I always get these cool cards from him. I'm like, how does he know that's exactly what I need to hear? So Bill, I appreciate you. Oh, and by the way, guys, because of Bill, I want to offer a promo code to our Unleash Masters series.
Oh, yeah.
We're actually going to put it under, we're going to call it Bill Gross 2023. This is the promo code. You would get a discount if you use this code. And it's because of Bill that you guys will get this discount. So I'm going to put that in the chat. So you use that code Bill Gross. Oh, sorry. My apologies. I put too many. It's 2023. I put too many zeros there. It's Bill Gross 2023. That's a promo code if you go to the Eventbrite, and you will get a discount off the ticket price.
I'm not making money on this deal. I paid the full price. I didn't even know this was available. You guys, I signed up and paid the full price. So
I appreciate you for that.
Same promo code as your OnlyFans page. Jack, I don't have an OnlyFans page, but if you want to share yours, go right ahead. Or if you have a list of favorites on OnlyFans, Jack Lapidus. Thanks. Okay, Taunee, thank you so much. Really appreciate having you. It was great. And I got to let you go because I told you no longer than now. I know you're busy. Thanks so much, Taunee. It was fantastic.
Thank you, guys. This was fun.
And for the rest of you, thank you for joining Probate Weekly. We do it every Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern time. We live stream on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Feel free if you're there, put questions in the chat box. I'll get back to them. If you want to join live, register at probateweekly.com. If you want to see the past episodes, go to episodes.probateweekly.com and we'll catch up with you there. I'm Bill Gross. I'm a real estate broker in LA. I service all of California with probate real estate services. If I can help in any way, please reach out. Thank you so much and make today your best day ever. Thanks so much, everybody.
Bye-bye.